I never thought my life would change so drastically in a Dallas summer. The scorching heat seemed to melt everything, including my rigid notions about myself. My name's Sarah Thompson, and I was just your average year-old travel agent, booking exotic getaways for others while my own life remained painfully ordinary. That is, until that fateful day at Magnolia Coffee. I ducked in to escape the suffocating heat, sweat glistening on my skin. As I waited in line, I couldn't help but notice her, a striking woman with wavy chestnut hair and the most captivating brown eyes I'd ever seen. She was engrossed in her laptop, brow furrowed in concentration. I don't know what came over me, but I found myself walking over after getting my iced latte. "Excuse me?" I said, my voice shakier than I'd like. "Is this seat taken?" She looked up, and I swear time stood still. A slow smile spread across her face, revealing dimples that made my heart skip. "Not at all," she replied, gesturing for me to sit. "I'm Emma." "Sarah," I managed, settling in across from her. "Thanks for sharing your table. It's a madhouse in here." Emma chuckled, closing her laptop. "Summer in Dallas, everyone's trying to cool off." We fell into easy conversation, and I found myself captivated by her quick wit and infectious laugh. Emma, I learned, ran a women's co-working space downtown. As she spoke passionately about empowering female entrepreneurs, I couldn't help but be drawn in. An hour flew by, and I reluctantly glanced at my watch. "I should get back to work," I sighed. "Already?" Emma's disappointment was evident, and it sent a thrill through me. "Well, Sarah, it was great meeting you. Maybe I'll see you around sometime." I nodded, perhaps a bit too eagerly. As I walked back to my office, my mind was reeling. Why did I feel so flustered? Why couldn't I stop thinking about the way Emma's eyes crinkled when she smiled? That night, as I lay in bed, memories of our encounter played on repeat. The way her fingers brushed mine as she handed me a napkin, the melodic sound of her laughter, the inexplicable urge I'd had to reach out and tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear. I tossed and turned, unable to shake these new, confusing feelings. I'd never been attracted to a woman before. Or had I? Suddenly, past friendships took on new meaning. The fierce protectiveness I'd felt for my college roommate. The butterflies I'd get around certain female coworkers. "No," I whispered into the darkness. "I can't be. Can I?" Sleep eluded me as I grappled with questions I'd never dared to ask myself before. Was I gay, bisexual, just confused? All I knew was that meeting Emma had awakened something in me, something both terrifying and exhilarating. As dawn broke over Dallas, I made a decision. I had to see her again. I had to explore these feelings wherever they might lead. Little did I know, that decision would set in motion a chain of events that would turn my world upside down. A summer of self-discovery, passion, and heartache lay ahead. And it all started with a chance encounter over coffee on a sweltering Dallas afternoon. I couldn't get Emma out of my head. For days I found myself daydreaming about her smile, her laugh, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear. It was maddening and exhilarating all at once. So when I stumbled across a flyer for her co-working space, Empower, I knew it was a sign. Before I could talk myself out of it, I was standing outside a sleek building in downtown Dallas, heart pounding. "Sarah?" Emma's voice startled me. She was even more stunning than I remembered, wearing a crisp white blouse that accentuated her sun-kissed skin. What a pleasant surprise. I fumbled for words. I saw your flyer, thought I'd check it out." Emma's face lit up. "That's fantastic. Come on, I'll give you the grand tour." As she led me through the space, introducing me to various women working on their laptops or chatting in small groups, I felt a sense of belonging I'd never experienced before. Emma's passion was infectious, and I found myself hanging on her every word. "So, what do you think?" she asked, a hint of nervousness in her voice. "It's amazing," I replied honestly. "You've created something really special here, Emma." Our eyes met, and for a moment the world seemed to fade away. Was it just my imagination, or did her gaze linger a second too long? The spell was broken by a voice behind us, Sarah, what are you doing here? I turned to see Olivia, my coworker from the travel agency, looking at me with surprise and, was that suspicion? Oh, hey Liv, I said, trying to sound casual. Just checking out this co-working space. Emma, this is Olivia, we work together. Emma extended her hand, all professional charm. Nice to meet you, Olivia. Always happy to welcome new faces to Empower. Olivia's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Thanks. Sarah, we should grab lunch sometime soon, catch up. As Olivia walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. But Emma's warm smile pushed those thoughts aside. So, interested in becoming a member? She asked. I signed up on the spot. Over the next few weeks, I found myself spending more and more time at Empower. I'd bring my laptop ostensibly to work on travel itineraries, but really to steal glances at Emma. Our conversations grew longer, more personal. I learned about her childhood in Austin, her dreams for expanding Empower, her love of spicy food. And with each interaction, that spark I'd felt at the coffee shop grew stronger. The way her hand would occasionally brush mine as we looked at something on her computer. The lingering hugs goodbye, the inside jokes we developed. One evening, as the last members were trickling out, Emma approached my desk. Hey Sarah, a bunch of us are heading to that new rooftop bar downtown. Wanna join? My heart raced. Sure, sounds fun. As we rode the elevator up to the bar, I couldn't help but notice how close Emma was standing. The scent of her perfume was intoxicating. The view from the rooftop was breathtaking, the Dallas skyline twinkling against the twilight sky. But I couldn't take my eyes off Emma. The way the soft lighting illuminated her features, the gentle curve of her neck as she threw her head back in laughter. We found ourselves drifting away from the group, leaning against the railing and talking in low voices. Emma's hand rested inches from mine, and I ached to close that small distance. I'm really glad you joined Empower, Emma said softly, her eyes meeting mine. It's been great getting to know you, Sarah. The air between us crackled with tension. I opened my mouth to respond, but words failed me. Instead, I found myself leaning in ever so slightly. There you two are. Olivia's voice shattered the moment. She appeared at my side, a forced smile on her face. What are we talking about? As Emma launched into a polite conversation with Olivia, I tried to calm my racing heart. What had almost happened? And why did I feel so disappointed that it hadn't? That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the memory of Emma's face in the moonlight, so close to mine. I was standing on the edge of something life-changing, terrifying and thrilling all at once. Little did I know, the real challenges were just beginning. The weeks following that night at the rooftop bar were a whirlwind of stolen glances and building tension. Every day, I found new excuses to spend time at Empower, my heart racing whenever Emma walked into the room. One afternoon I was deeply focused on a complex itinerary when I felt a presence behind me. The familiar scent of Emma's perfume washed over me before I even turned around. Working hard or hardly working, she teased, leaning over my shoulder to look at my screen. Her proximity sent shivers down my spine. Oh, you know, I stammered, hyper-aware of how close she was, just trying to plan the perfect Caribbean getaway for a honeymoon couple. Emma's eyes sparkled with mischief. Sounds romantic. Any insider tips for those of us not quite ready for the altar? Was she flirting? My mind raced, trying to formulate a witty response. Well, I said, surprising myself with my boldness, I hear Tulum is perfect for exploring new horizons. The look Emma gave me made my knees weak. I'll keep that in mind, she murmured, her hand briefly squeezing my shoulder before she walked away. These moments became more frequent, more charged. A lingering touch as she handed me a coffee. The way her eyes would find mine across a crowded room. Each interaction left me breathless, questioning everything I thought I knew about myself. One evening, long after the other members had left, I was packing up my things when Emma appeared in the doorway of her office. Sarah, can you come here for a sec? My heart pounding, I made my way over. Emma was sitting on her desk, a pensive look on her face. Close the door, would you? As I shut the door behind me, the air in the room seemed to shift. Emma patted the spot next to her on the desk, and I hesitantly perched beside her. "I can't stop thinking about you," Emma said softly, her eyes meeting mine. "Tell me I'm not crazy. Tell me you feel this too." Time seemed to stand still. All the tension, all the longing of the past weeks crashed over me like a wave. Without thinking, I leaned in and pressed my lips to hers. The kiss was electric, passionate, everything I'd been dreaming of and more. Emma's hands tangled in my hair as she pulled me closer. I lost myself in the softness of her lips, the warmth of her body against mine. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, I saw my own mix of desire and uncertainty reflected in Emma's eyes. "Wow," I whispered, unable to form a more coherent thought. Emma laughed softly, resting her forehead against mine. "Yeah, wow." We stayed like that for a moment, reveling in the newness of it all. But as the reality of what had just happened sank in, I felt a pang of anxiety. "Emma, I've never done this before. With a woman, I mean." She took my hand, intertwining our fingers. "We can take it slow, Sarah, figure it out together, if that's what you want." I nodded, a mix of excitement and fear coursing through me. "I do, I really do." As I left Empower that night, my lips still tingling from Emma's kiss, I felt like I was walking on air. Everything had changed, and yet the world kept spinning as if nothing had happened. The next morning I practically floated into work, unable to keep the smile off my face. But my bubble of happiness was quickly burst by Olivia's sharp voice. "Late night?" she asked, eyeing me suspiciously. "Oh, just got caught up with some work at Empower," I lied, avoiding her gaze. Olivia's eyes narrowed. "You've been spending an awful lot of time there lately. Anything you want to tell me, Sarah?" I felt a flash of guilt. Olivia was my friend after all, but I wasn't ready to share this new, confusing part of myself just yet. "Nope, nothing to tell," I said, plastering on a fake smile, "just enjoying the change of scenery." As I turned back to my computer, I could feel Olivia's eyes boring into me. The joy of last night's kiss faded, replaced by a gnawing anxiety. How long could I keep this secret? And what would happen when the truth finally came out? Little did I know, the stolen moments of bliss with Emma were about to get a lot more complicated. The lines between friendship, love, and loyalty were blurring, and I was hurtling towards a crossroads I never saw coming. The weeks following that first kiss with Emma were a whirlwind of stolen moments and secret smiles. Every day, I found new excuses to linger at Empower, my heart racing whenever Emma and I were alone. One evening, long after the other members had left, Emma called me into her office. As I stepped inside, she locked the door behind me, a mischievous glint in her eye. "I've been thinking about you all day," she murmured, pulling me close. Our lips met in a passionate kiss, and suddenly, all my doubts and fears melted away. Emma's hands roamed my body, leaving trails of fire in their wake. I let out a soft moan as she pushed me against her desk, her lips moving to my neck. "Are you sure about this?" Emma whispered, her breath hot against my skin. I nodded, unable to form words. In that moment, I wanted nothing more than to be with her. What followed was a blur of sensations, the softness of Emma's skin, the warmth of her touch, the taste of her lips. We moved together in a dance of passion and discovery, exploring each other with an intensity that left me breathless. Afterward, as we lay tangled together on the small couch in her office, I felt a mix of exhilaration and terror. What did this mean for us, for me? Emma seemed to sense my unease. "Hey," she said softly, stroking my cheek. "You okay?" I nodded, managing a small smile. "Yeah, I'm just processing. This is all so new." She pulled me closer, planting a gentle kiss on my forehead. "We'll figure it out together, Sarah. I promise." As I left Empower that night, my body still humming from Emma's touch, I felt like I was walking on air. Everything had changed, and yet the world kept spinning as if nothing had happened. The next morning I practically floated into work, unable to keep the smile off my face. But my bubble of happiness was quickly burst by Olivia's sharp voice. "You look different," she said, eyeing me suspiciously. "Anything you want to share?" I felt a flash of guilt. Olivia was my friend after all, but I wasn't ready to share this new, confusing part of myself just yet. "Nope, nothing to tell," I lied, avoiding her gaze. Olivia's eyes narrowed. "Sarah, we've been friends for years. I know when you're hiding something." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I hated lying to her, but how could I explain something I barely understood myself? "I'm just going through some personal stuff," I said vaguely. "I'll tell you about it when I've got it figured out, okay?" Olivia didn't look convinced, but she dropped the subject. As I turned back to my computer, I could feel her eyes boring into me. The joy of last night faded, replaced by a gnawing anxiety. Over the next few days, I found myself torn between my growing feelings for Emma and my guilt over keeping secrets from Olivia. Emma and I continued to steal moments together whenever we could, each encounter leaving me craving more. But Olivia's suspicion grew with each passing day. Her once friendly demeanor turned cold and distant. I caught her watching me with a mix of hurt and anger that made my stomach churn. One afternoon, as I was heading out to meet Emma for lunch, Olivia cornered me by the elevator. "Sarah, we need to talk," she said, her voice trembling slightly. I have feelings for you. I have for a long time, and I think you might feel the same way." I froze, my mind reeling. Olivia had feelings for me. How had I never noticed? And now, with Emma in the picture. "Liv, I started," but the words caught in my throat. How could I tell her that my heart belonged to someone else without revealing everything? Olivia must have seen the panic in my eyes because her expression hardened. "It's her, isn't it? Emma?" The accusation in her voice made me flinch. "Olivia, it's not. It's complicated. Save it," she snapped, tears welling in her eyes. "I hope she's worth losing your friends over." As Olivia stormed off, I felt like my world was crumbling around me. The web of lies and secrets I'd woven was starting to unravel, and I was powerless to stop it. That night, as I lay in bed, my phone buzzing with worried texts from Emma, I realized I was at a crossroads. I had to make a choice: embrace this new part of myself and risk losing everything I knew, or retreat to the safety of my old life and lose the chance at true happiness. Little did I know, the decision would soon be taken out of my hands in ways I never could have imagined. The blissful bubble Emma and I had been living in was about to burst. It started with little things: canceled plans, shorter text messages, a distance in her eyes when we were together. At first, I chalked it up to work stress. Empower was growing rapidly, and Emma was juggling a million responsibilities. But as the days turned into weeks, I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something was wrong. "Hey, you okay?" I asked one evening as we were closing up Empower. "You seem distant lately." Emma sighed, running a hand through her hair. "I'm fine, Sarah. Just busy." Her tone was dismissive and it stung. "Emma, please, talk to me." She turned to face me, her expression unreadable. "What do you want me to say? That this is all moving too fast? That I'm not sure I'm ready for whatever this is?" Her words hit me like a physical blow. I thought we were on the same page. Emma's eyes softened slightly. "I care about you, Sarah. I do. But this is all new for you, and I don't want to be your experiment." "Is that what you think this is?" I asked, hurt and anger bubbling up inside me. "An experiment? I don't know what to think," Emma replied, frustration evident in her voice. "I just need some space to figure things out." As I left Empower that night, my heart heavy and my mind reeling, I felt more alone than ever. The one person I wanted to talk to about this was the very person causing my pain. Lost in my thoughts, I didn't notice Olivia until I nearly ran into her outside our office building. "Whoa, Earth to Sarah," she said, studying me. Her tone was lighter than it had been in weeks, and I felt a rush of relief at the familiar banter. "Sorry, Liv, just a lot on my mind." Olivia's expression softened. "Want to talk about it over a drink? I know things have been weird between us, but I miss my friend." I hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Maybe talking to Olivia would help clear my head. Several hours and far too many margaritas later, Olivia and I stumbled out of the bar, laughing at some long-forgotten inside joke. For the first time in weeks, I felt light, unburdened. "I've missed this," Olivia said softly as we waited for our Uber. "Missed you." Before I could respond, she leaned in and pressed her lips to mine. For a split second, caught off guard and fuzzy from the alcohol, I didn't pull away. Then reality came crashing back and I jerked backward. "Liv, I can't. I'm sorry, but I don't feel that way about you." Hurt and anger flashed across Olivia's face. "But you feel that way about Emma, is that it?" It's complicated," I stammered, my head spinning from more than just the alcohol. Olivia laughed bitterly. "You know what? Save it. I'm done being your second choice." As she stormed off into the night, leaving me alone on the sidewalk, I felt like my world was crumbling around me. I'd hurt Olivia, possibly beyond repair, and things with Emma were falling apart. In a moment of weakness, I pulled out my phone and dialed Emma's number. It went straight to voicemail. "Emma, it's me," I said, my voice cracking. "I know you said you needed space, but I miss you. Please, can we talk?" The next morning I woke to a pounding headache and a sinking feeling in my stomach. Memories of the night before came flooding back. The kiss with Olivia, the desperate voicemail to Emma. I reached for my phone, hoping for a message from Emma. Instead, I found a text from an unknown number. "Thought you might want to see this. Your girlfriend isn't as committed as you think." Attached was a photo of Emma, laughing and holding hands with another woman at a cafe I didn't recognize. My world tilted on its axis. How had everything gone so wrong so quickly? As I stared at the photo, trying to make sense of what I was seeing, another text came through. This time, from Emma, "We need to talk. Meet me at Empower in an hour." My heart raced as I got dressed, a mix of dread and hope swirling in my chest. I had no idea what awaited me at Empower, but I knew one thing for certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The walk to Empower felt like the longest of my life. My mind raced, replaying the events of the past 24 hours on a torturous loop. The kiss with Olivia. The desperate voicemail to Emma. And that photo. Emma was waiting for me in her office, her face unreadable. "Sarah," she said softly, gesturing for me to sit. "We need to talk." I couldn't hold back anymore. "Who is she, Emma? The woman in the photo?" Emma's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed. "What photo?" I pulled out my phone, showing her the image that had shattered my world. Emma's expression softened, a mix of understanding and sadness crossing her face. "That's Megan," she sighed. "My ex. We had coffee yesterday too. Clear the air." "Clear the air?" I echoed, my voice trembling. It looked pretty cozy to me. Emma ran a hand through her hair, frustration evident in her voice. "It's not what you think, Sarah. Megan and I have history, yes, but it's over." I was trying to get closure. By holding hands and laughing over coffee, I shot back, anger and hurt bubbling up inside me. "You're one to talk," Emma retorted, her eyes flashing. "I saw you kissing Olivia last night." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "You saw that?" Emma nodded, her jaw tight. "I was coming to surprise you, to apologize for being distant. And then I saw that." Tears welled up in my eyes. "Emma, it wasn't what it looked like. Olivia kissed me," I pulled away. "I don't have feelings for her." "But you didn't tell me about it," Emma said quietly. "You left me a voicemail saying you missed me, but you didn't mention Olivia. How am I supposed to trust you?" The irony of her words wasn't lost on me. "How am I supposed to trust you?" I countered. "You've been pulling away for weeks, and then I find out you're meeting your ex in secret?" We stared at each other, the weight of unspoken words and broken trust hanging heavy between us. Finally Emma spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I think I think we need to take a break, Sarah. This is all moving too fast and we're both clearly not ready for it. Her words hit me like a physical blow. A break, I repeated, my voice cracking. Emma, please, we can work through this. But I could see in her eyes that her mind was made up. I'm sorry, Sarah. I care about you, I do. But right now, I think we both need some space to figure out what we really want. As I left Empower that day, my world felt like it was crumbling around me. I'd lost Emma, possibly for good. My friendship with Olivia was in tatters, and I felt more confused about my identity than ever. The next few weeks passed in a blur of sleepless nights and tearful days. I threw myself into work, avoiding Empower and dodging Olivia's attempts to talk. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape the ache in my chest. One particularly rough evening, I found myself at a gay bar downtown, seeking some kind of connection, some proof that I wasn't alone in this confusing journey. As I nursed my drink, a woman approached me. First time here? She asked kindly. I nodded, managing a weak smile. That obvious, huh? She introduced herself as Rachel, a regular at the bar. We fell into easy conversation, and for the first time in weeks I felt a glimmer of hope. It gets easier, Rachel assured me, squeezing my hand. Coming out, figuring out who you are, it's a journey. But you're not alone. As I left the bar that night, Rachel's words echoed in my mind. I wasn't alone. And maybe, just maybe, I could find my way through this. The next morning, I woke with a newfound determination. I couldn't change the past, but I could shape my future. I picked up my phone and dialed a familiar number. Olivia, I said when she answered. Can we talk? I think it's time I told you everything. It was a small step, but it felt like the beginning of something new. As I prepared to meet Olivia and finally be honest about everything, I realized that this journey of self-discovery was far from over. And, somewhere deep down, a tiny spark of hope flickered. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance to make things right with Emma. But first, I had to make things right with myself. The Dallas winter had never felt colder. Weeks had passed since my conversation with Olivia, where I'd laid bare my soul and the tumultuous journey of the past few months. To my surprise, after the initial shock, she'd been understanding. Our friendship, while changed, was slowly mending. But Emma was still a wound that wouldn't heal. I'd thrown myself into work, into self-discovery. I'd joined a support group for women exploring their sexuality, made new friends in the LGBTQ community. Slowly, I was becoming comfortable in my own skin. Yet every time I passed Empower, my heart ached. It was a crisp Saturday morning when I made my decision. If I was ever going to move forward, I needed closure. I needed to see Emma one last time. With shaking hands, I dialed her number. Sarah? Her voice, even through the phone, sent shivers down my spine. Emma, can we meet, please? There was a long pause. Okay, Empower in an hour? As I approached the familiar building, my stomach was in knots. Emma was waiting outside, her breath visible in the cold air. Hi, I said softly. Hi, she replied, a small smile playing on her lips. We walked in silence to a nearby park, finding a secluded bench. Emma, I started, but she held up a hand. Let me go first, please, she said. I nodded, bracing myself. These past weeks without you have been hell, Emma admitted. I've done a lot of thinking, a lot of soul searching. And I realized something. My heart raced as she continued. I was scared, Sarah. Scared of how quickly and deeply I was falling for you. Scared that I was just an experiment for you. So, I pushed you away. Tears welled in my eyes. Emma, you were never an experiment, you were, the realest thing I've ever felt. She reached for my hand, intertwining our fingers. I know that now, and I'm so sorry for doubting you, for not trusting in what we had. I took a deep breath. I'm sorry too, for not being honest about Olivia, for letting my insecurities get the best of me. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of our words hanging between us. So where we go from here? I finally asked. Emma turned to face me, her eyes shining with unshed tears. I want to try again, Sarah, if you'll have me. I want to do this right, take it slow, build something real. My heart soared. I want that too, more than anything. She leaned in, her lips meeting mine in a soft, tender kiss. It felt like coming home. As we walked back to Empower, hand in hand, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The journey had been rocky, filled with missteps and heartache. But it had led me here to this moment, to Emma. You know, Emma said, a mischievous glint in her eye, I hear Tulum is beautiful this time of year. Perfect for exploring new horizons. I laughed, remembering our conversation from what felt like a lifetime ago. Is that your way of asking me on a vacation, Miss Rodriguez? She grinned. Maybe. What do you say, ready for a new adventure? As I looked into her eyes, I saw our future stretching out before us. It wouldn't be perfect, I knew. We'd face challenges, have disagreements, but we'd face them together. With you? Always, I replied, pulling her in for another kiss. The Dallas winter suddenly didn't feel so cold anymore. As Emma and I walked into Empower, planning our trip and our future, I realized that sometimes the most beautiful journeys are the ones we never saw coming. And as for me, Sarah Thompson, I was finally truly home.